All right. How's it going, YouTube? Today I'm going to work on some water lilies. Awesome. I love that subject. Monet's one of my all-time favorite artists. I'm sure for many people. And the water lilies is it's a subject that is just phenomenal. I don't think that maybe I would paint if it wasn't because of water lilies. Water lilies was a subject that got me into painting early on, and I just hold it very dear in my heart. So here we go. Let's make them a bit smaller. That way we can. So I like to start by doing this, okay? By doing kind of like the outline silhouettes of them. If you notice in painting, this is just perspective. The farther away, these are not way far away, the ones up here, but the farther away, the smaller they get, and the closer, the as a general rule, right? The bigger they are, of course, right? And well, that's not a general rule. That's the way it is. But as a general rule, is what I was going to mention was something else. The farther away, usually, the lighter they are. Okay, and that is a general rule because I don't always abide to it. And the closer, the darker the tones. The color gets, of course, because it's more saturated. I don't always follow those advices. I rely a lot on personal experience, and light is a funny thing. It changes, and sometimes of course if you study realism and whatnot, that works, right? But that's not my cup of tea. So I'm more intuitive. Those of you who want to do a little Monet, it is my belief, based on observation, that Monet painted somewhere holding the brush like this. Those of you who enjoy that. I used to spend hours and hours and hours looking at every time I had a chance to see an exhibit by Monet. I spent a lot of time looking at those water lilies, the poplars and all those paintings. I was always looking for how did he do that signature brushwork, Of course, once you kind of learn it, it doesn't matter anymore because you're doing your own thing anyways. But it's fun for learning purposes. It's pretty fun. It's my belief that if you don't somewhat attack the canvas, the reason why I like to call it, attack the canvas, it's because you're trying to loosen, at least in my experience, So if you don't attack it, you might not get to that place where you are fighting your fears. Because what happens in painting many times is that you're trying to control. And I said it before, the purpose of painting, I don't think it's to control the painting. Of course, it varies depending on what you're trying to learn, what style or what type of artwork you do, of course. But if you're doing stuff like me or abstract or abstract impressionism, some terms out there that I hear, or intuitive painting, or if you're doing stuff like that, I think it's very important to loosen up. So there we go. I think the more loose you become, the more open, the more you put in that je ne sais quoi in there. A thing that it's yours. It's yours. It's no one else's. It comes from within. And I'm sounding philosophical here. I love sounding philosophical. And I keep different brushes. I don't necessarily. Sometimes you'll see me finish a painting with a single brush, but I just keep them around. I don't keep too many to not lose the flow, the speed in which I'm painting. But I'll keep a handful of them, just because you want to have them there. You want to have the tools available. You may not use them, but you want to have them available in case you want to. Movement is very important for me, not just in as you see here how I paint, but movement in the sense of the movement of the water, the nature. Because I believe that it's always changing. It might not be changing at the speed that one thinks or whatever, but it's always, nonetheless, it's always changing. It's always moving. There's always something. I love seeing those videos when they place a camera over the clouds or a plant growing. Those I forgot what they're called. I guess they're time lapse or something. Changing videos. I love seeing how things are moving. How it looks like it's just sitting still if you don't record it. But if you record it for enough time, you can see how it's moving. And I think that's just life. It's always on this constant change and movement. It's never in the same place. And I like to approach painting that way. I don't like to approach painting like, oh, here, let me copy this photograph. Or, I like to see it as it's moving, so am I. So you know, everything is moving. It's always changing. It's this constant thing. How do you know when a painting is finished? You just stop. You know. You develop again. You develop that muscle where you're like, okay, well, it's time to stop. I think. You know. I think there's enough movement. It's time to stop. That kind of thing. You know. I don't think that. Matters that much. There it is. Waterlilies by me, not Monet, me. Until next time.